What's happening, comic fans? Today I'm going to talk about collecting trends, our own personal comic collecting habits that we've had over the years, whether it's something that you used to engage in that you no longer do, so maybe one that you might have currently going on, or even some long-term ones, or even ones that you are potentially interested in jumping into. And along with that, I'll be sharing some of mine. Got some visual aids right here because we all love a good visual aid. And I'll be talking about some of mine as well as how they may have evolved over the years. So yeah, let's have some fun. Let's get into it. And for more comic books and comic related content, head over to genoscomics.com. Okay, so welcome back. So again, we're talking about comic collecting trends, our own personal ways that we've engaging in this hobby in whatever form that may have been. And I wanted to share a few of mine that I've held over the years. And again, as I said, got some cool visual aids here. So let's jump right into one of the ones I've got into, well, kind of had pretty much throughout the years, but one that I've kind of gone back through is missed comic variants. So what I've done, especially within the last year or so, it's like, you know what, some of those comic variants I missed just for whatever reason. Maybe they were just too like ratio variants that were just too expensive at the time, and I had no interest in paying that price for them. Looking back up and found a couple of them that were crazy cheap, and I was like, oh, you know what, I gotta jump into that. And some of these you have seen recently, including this one. I believe I haven't shown this one off yet. Secret Avengers #4, Chris Bachalo and Tim Townsend. This Valkyrie variant with the Women of Marvel banner going around there. I think it was done by Stuart Eminem. Fairly certain that's him, but yeah, Chris Bachalo, Tim Townsend. You know, Chris Bachalo is one of my favorite artists, and him and Tim Townsend are an incredible artistic team. So this is just one I was like, I gotta get that. That's one of my favorite artists. So, and that kind of branching off of that is just some of his variants alone is another trend pretty much by itself, like going after some of his own work because he's fantastic. Another one I showed off, Extreme Carnage Alpha number is just Alpha. So basically #1 by Inhyuk Lee. Come on, man, Carnage there is just a fantastic piece of art. Had to snag that because love my Carnage variants. So yeah, that's just cool as hell. And Inhyuk Lee is a extremely talented artist, so I had to jump into that one. Another one, which is one from the oldest of this bunch anyway, the ones I chose. I think, actually no, I don't know which one came out, if this came out before or after Secret Avengers, but Avengers vs. X-Men Consequences #4, this Magneto variant by Mark Brooks was just one when it was first out. I remember, I know it's a ratio, I don't remember how much it was, and I remember looking it up and people were asking, I don't know, 40, 50 bucks, and I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna pay that. And I looked again some time ago and found, like, I was looking at some other copies that were in the 40 range, like, okay, 30s and 40 range, whatever. I was thinking, you know what, let me see if I can put some offers in. And then I kept searching and I found another one for under $6. I think it was like $4 or $5. I said, what? I'm taking that easily. It's just, I had this wallpaper, like image of this on my computer, but I've used this wallpaper before. I think I've used it on my phone background before. And it's just a beautiful piece of work. You know, Mark Brooks always does excellent stuff, as you can tell, especially with X-Men. So this was one, and just for that price, I had to grab it. I wanted a second copy as well, but they're all like the larger prices. So there's that. So another one, we have cheap trades and graphic novel. So love my bookshelf, love collected editions, graphic novels, still do all that, even though obviously single issues will always be my main focus of my comic collecting. But reading and comic collecting, still single issues and collected editions. I like having collected editions of books that I've read a lot, so I don't have to pull out the single issues a lot. And here's a small sample of some that I picked up over, I don't know, that brief period where I was on hiatus. I was still like reading and collecting, and I scored a bunch of stuff. So some of this stuff you haven't even seen yet, but you're getting a bit of a teaser. Some of these you have seen. Rust from Archaea by Roy and Lepp. But one of those I used as an example was Civil War, which is a book the story I've reread several times, and I had to pull out each of those issues. So I wanted to get a collected edition, so whenever I reread it, which I probably do for another one, I don't have to worry about that, and I have it all contained in one spot and easy, and I don't have to worry about damaging my other single issues. Another one was Bloodstained Teeth. I showed this off. I just read this. It's actually pretty decent. I like Christian Ward. I think he's a fantastic artist. You can tell that cover there. And this is actually his turn on taking a turn at writing. which I was like, oh, you know, that's just a cool proposition by itself, and I'm curious to see what he does with it. He did do one issue in here, I believe, but other than that, most of the art is done by Patrick Reynolds and Heather Moore. Who else? Patrick Reynolds, Heather Moore, yeah, and then Hassan Osman El Hau. I don't know. Sorry if I butchered your name, but yeah, Bloodstained Teeth, Image Comics. This is the first 5 issues of that. Another one, highly recommended, from Boom Studios, Translucid. It's a 6-issue miniseries. Just this kind of one is just a fucking gorgeous book. Hell, is like just the color palette alone, the psychedelic mix of awesomeness and insanity, and just kind of the story of these two characters, the navigator and the horse, hero and villain, and just kind of that dynamic there, and just kind of exploring that in just this excellent book. I have the single issues, but I just wanted to a collected edition of this on the bookshelf. So again, what I kind of led into, kind of veered off, just showing some of these books. Like finding these, I found all these, I believe, maybe, I'm not sure about that one. Yeah, I did. All of these on eBay for crazy cheap prices. I got that Bloodstained Teeth for like $6. I think with shipping it might have been, I don't even know, it might have been under 10. I'm not even sure, but most of these were just crazy stupid cheap. And it's like, oh, that's fantastic. And so you just find them up, and I was like, oh wow, I'm finding all type of stuff. So again, this is just a small sample, a small selection of the books, the trades, and graphic novels that I picked up over the last 3-4 months. And again, a bunch of other stuff I haven't even shown off yet, but that's just one of those, because I think it's just a great resource to be able to do that. Again, kind of topic for another video, being a comic fan on a budget or collecting on a budget, and that is a great way to do that. Go on eBay and just search for trades. You'll be able to find just insane deals, especially older stuff, or even some newer stuff, because you can find some library editions. So some of these had, let me see, I think one of these rust ones might have had a label on it, a sticker. I just pulled that right off, and like, other than that, like, you couldn't even tell that it wasn't brand new. It was just perfectly fine. But yeah, so that's just another resource. Again, think about that. Cheap trades and graphic novels. Another one, Spider-Man villain appearances. So what I'm talking about specifically is, I've touched on this before, finding villain appearances in some of the other Spider-Man titles. So outside of Amazing, particularly Web of Spider-Man and Peter Parker's Spectacular Spider-Man. So I was going after Green Goblin, Hobgoblin, Doc Ock, Electro appearances, all of those, Demo Goblin, Carnage, and previously the only issues I had from those series and some of the other ones were tie-ins to Maximum Carnage or some other Spider-Man events or any other Marvel Universe large-scale events. So I was like, you know what, let me go after some of these other villain appearances, because some of those same names I mentioned, I like those characters, so let me just go see how they were in some other stories, some other, just either, again, Web of Spider-Man and Spectacular Spider-Man aren't the biggest titles, but they're long-running titles that people have a lot of love for, a lot of creators, lots of characters, another look at Spider-Man in that whole world, his whole section of the Marvel Universe. But then I started going after them and finding them cheap. So then I said, you know what? This is kind of one of those ones that has evolved over time, because it went from that to I'm just going to go after both titles in full, but usually only when I find them crazy cheap. So if I find them in dollar bin or on sale for maybe $2 for $1 or whatever else like that, I'm snatching them up. I got some direct editions, I'm snatching them right up, because that's just one of those, I gotta go for that. And yeah, so that's kind of one of those that has kind of evolved over time. And segueing from that one to direct editions, this is one you all know. If you've been following me for a while, you all know what I'm doing with direct editions, and you've kind of seen that I've shown some progress of that, where I kind of had, when I was younger, and just picking up books, like I'm just going to shops and conventions, just picking up books, like I'm just going after, I'm not even thinking about that. And then at a certain point I said, you know what, I want to switch over to after that certain point when I switched over to direct editions, that's all I want. So like April, May, June, probably around May-ish of '79, direct editions. So everything after that in my collection has been direct editions, and I spent a lot of time, I say a lot of time, but I did devote some time to that in 2022 for replacing a lot of my X-Men books, Uncanny X-Men and X-Men from 91. And I did like everything I had that was newsstand edition from those titles after that point, all direct editions. I replaced every single one of them. I was missing one, and I was like, oh wait, I'm gonna have one more to get, and I got that one. So that was one thing right there. That one by itself was a bit of a collecting trend there, a little adventure of mine. But that was just a fun one. Nice little. So that makes my own comic hunting a bit different than typically, because I'm going after, like, I see some great copies even for prices, but if it's a newsstand edition, I want the direct edition, and I'll wait. I'll pass on it. Like, that's okay. Like, there's plenty of copies to go around. I'll find the right copy. So that's just another one. And I didn't grab a visual aid for that one, but that's just something there. I might overlay some pictures for both of those last 2 points, because those ones were definitely one. And now as I go back even further, like early Bronze Age and then Silver Age, don't have to worry about that obviously anymore, and then going into Golden. But there's still a bit of books in that area, in that time frame, where I was like, okay, I still have to go for some of my main titles there, but that's just kind of one of those there. Next one is Masters of Evil first appearances. And I'm thinking, Gino, why do you care about the Masters of Evil? Because I think they're a cool villain team, and all the different incarnations from that have been led by Baron Zemo, Ultron, Egghead, aka Eggsy, all those, just so many different characters, so many different iterations, and handled by so many different creative teams, and just made them just so interesting to me. And so I wanted to read how some of those characters first appeared. I'm not going after every single person that's ever been, every single character that's been in the Masters of Evil, but it's just a lot of them that I like particularly. And one that I was after for so many years that I finally decided to go after, and I'll touch on why in a later point. My man, watch out for Tiger Shark. That's right. Prince Namor, the Submariner, number 5. First appearance of Tiger Shark. There he is in all his under the sea glory. So I got number 5 and number 6, which was a better cover. Yes. Look at that. Namor and Tiger Shark going at it. Death to the vanquished. But I just had to go after these. I wanted to read his first appearance. I like Tiger Shark. He's got a cool design. I have a couple of his action figures. And yeah, so I just wanted like a Master of Evil. So that's another trend I've kind of fallen off of a bit, but it still is kind of there. So a lot of those have appeared in titles that I'm interested in anyway. But for some that are kind of some of the outliers, and there's kind of on the back wing, if I come across them cheap, maybe I'll still pick them up. But yeah, it's just kind of one I just kind of put on the back burner for a little while, but that's just okay. That's just kind of one of those that has been, again, one of my own little collecting trends. Last one's up. We got 2 more. Quantity over quality and vice versa. So now this one is one that has evolved over time, and kind of leading back to the Submariner book here. So when I got back, I started going to conventions back in 05. Again, fantastic time, a great time as a comic reader and a comic collector. I was going there finding all types of cheap books, quarter books, 50-cent books, 2 for a quarter, 2 for $1, 3 for $1, dollar books, $2 books. I was just buying tons of books. I was reading just so many different things. Like, all right, this looks cool. I need this for my collection. I went to this title, and after this character, these creators. And I was just buying tons of stuff, just tons of cheap books, just for the hell of it. Like, oh, hey, looks cool. What the hell is this about? All types of mainstream indie publishers. I was just buying it all, and that's how I built up a bulk of my collection. Lots of just cheap books and just series all over the place. Again, off different publishers. And then, so when I would see some of those expensive books, like at shops or conventions, I would see those bigger books up on the wall. Like, oh man, that's cool, but I'm not paying that. Can't do that. And then over the years, like still picking up, getting a lot of those cheaper books out of the way, and then all right, going back into earlier parts of series. Like, okay, what am I gonna do now? Because these books are starting to get to the more expensive books, and then started easing my way into a little bit, and then started going full on. And at this point now, I just like, screw it. I'm going after I'm been after these bigger books. Some of you seen, some of you not seen. And this is kind of where the Submariner came in. I was like, all right, you know what? I'm doing this. We're going all in. So now that's kind of, I'm settled in there. I wish I would have done it years ago, because I would have been able to pick up some of these bigger books that are especially on my Grail list, so much sooner and so much cheaper than they are going for now, especially with the just outlandish rise in speculation and all that. MCU, DCEU, and everything else, all these indie properties making it to small screen, big screen, and every price is just going insane. So that's just one. So now I have it. way it's evolved, though, I'm still doing it. So I will pick up cheap books in mass and like tons of them, especially at conventions or sales. I will still do that, especially for reading. And then I'm still going after definitely with the eye on bigger books. So that's just another one there. And the last one is not, I guess it's kind of the long-term one, is just the big focus on my main series. And if you follow me for a while, I do have 5 main series, all Marvel. Uncanny X-Men or X-Men/Uncanny X-Men being the main one, followed by Amazing Spider-Man, Avengers, Captain America, and Daredevil. So those 5 series are my absolute top. So they get the most focus. And then there are some other secondary series. I don't want to say secondary series, I guess, but some other titles that I do kind of peek into and I'll pick up if I can find them cheap. But those are my main ones. So yes, those are some of my collecting trends over the years. And I encourage all of you to share some of yours in the comments below. Again, ones that maybe you used to have, or even some that you're potentially eyeing getting into in the future. Graded books, signature books, whatever, any particular following creators, characters, whatever. Drop it in the comments below. I'm curious what everybody's thoughts are and their specific collecting habits. Let's talk about it in the comments below. Happy reading, happy hunting, happy collecting. This is Genoscomics. Thanks for watching and peace out.